Okay, so it's an honor and privilege for me to try to teach the Sikha. I have to admit that usually when I prepare, I just use the English. So this is a treat for me. Okay, so I hope you could bear with me and help me out when I get stuck. Okay, so this week's Parsha is Parshas Emor, and although Sukkot is not for a while, this week's Parsha speaks about the mitzvah of lulav and esrog, and but it's still extremely relevant to us because now we're in the time period of Sfiras Omer, where the emphasis is on having Avas Yisrael and loving every single Jew, and so by learning this Sikha, we're gonna feel that it's very, very connected to us, even though Sukkot is still a little further away. Okay. B'tzivoy ha'Torah b'Parshasenu oides dalid haminim sheyesh lital b'yom harisha the Chag HaSukkos. So, with regards to the commandment in our parsha about taking the 4 kinds that we're supposed to take on the first day of Sukkot. So, what are they? Pri'etz hadar, the esrog; kapais tamarim, which is the lulav; va'anaf eitz avos, which is the hadassim; va'arvei nachal, which are the willow branches. Matzinu davar pela, we find an astonishing thing. Begimul haminim harishonim, matzinu sha'asiman sha'atayra neisenes alehem, hu tnai li'ikuva. We find something very interesting. For 3 of the species, the description that the Torah gives is a binding condition. So whatever the Torah says, it's necessary. That description is necessary in order for that type to be kosher. The thing that you actually take to do the mitzvah, it's necessary to have these descriptions. For example, Pri'etz hadar with the esrog, ha'esrog shemevarchim alav, the esrog that you make a blessing on, chayav liyos pri'etz. The esrog has to be the fruit of a tree. V'chayav liyos hadar, and it has to be beautiful. The esrog hayavesh pasol, and the esrog that's dried up is not fit and not kosher to be used. Kapais tamarim, the lulav, which comes from the date tree. Halulav chayav liyos kapais. The lulav has to be bound. Dehainu olim haruuyin leagdan ulakafaisan im hashdera. V'im lav harehu pasol. The lulav, it can't be like a fan. The branches of the lulav have to be close together, have to be bound together, and that's why we also put the rings on the lulav to keep it together. So the leaves of the lulav have to be, they're like forced together, and that is a prerequisite for the lulav to be kosher. And if it fans out and it can't be put together, can't be close together, then it's puzzle, it's not fit for use. V'gam b'negel leprat ditmarim, Mevar hagayin haragatchaver, shaloi dai sheyi alulav me'ilon sheyesh alav shem hamin tamarim. Also for the lulav, it's not enough that it should come from a palm tree, but rather it has to come from a tree that produces dates. V'al pizeh mevar sham es divrei Chazal, shedalad minim shebelulav beis mehen oisim peiros, d'lechayra regam eitz hadas noisim peiros anavim. So according to this, we have to explain that it says about the 4 kinds that only 2 of them give fruit. So seemingly, what about the hadassim that when they grow with berries? Ella shebelulav hadinhu shalulav tzarich liyos midekal she'oset tamarim ve'im nata deka le'etzim pasel lulav. The law is that a lulav has to come from a palm tree that produces dates, and if a person planted a palm tree for the wood and not for the dates, then the this palm tree is not fit to be used for a lulav, to use its branches for a lulav. But a hadas, the myrtle branch, can come from a tree or a bush that does not have berries. Okay, so up until now we discussed the qualifications for a esrog. A esrog has to be a fruit from a tree, and it has to be beautiful. The lulav, the branches of it have to be closed and close together and be able to be bound, and they have to come from a tree that produces dates. I never knew this before, but we have someone in our Chabad house that his job is cutting down trees, and he says there's such a thing as male trees and female trees, that you could have date trees. Some of them are considered male, that they will never produce dates, and some are considered female trees that they do. So so far we're saying that it has to come from a date, from a tree that produces dates. So both of these are fruit, and the fact that the myrtle branch, which we're going to talk about in a minute, the fact that it has berries, the berries, that's not a necessary condition, a necessary thing for it to be kosher, and therefore it's considered that only 2 of the daled minim are coming from fruit. So now up to the third one, the myrtle. Anath eitz avos. It's called a braided tree. Hahadas chayav liyos avos. The hadas has to be very thick. It has to be thick that you can't even see the stem because it has so many leaves. Tilsa b'chad kina v'imlav pasol. From every node, there has to come 3 leaves from every node, and otherwise it's pasol. And so therefore, there are so many leaves growing from 3 leaves growing from each spot, that it's very thick, and it's called a braided tree. When we're talking about the 4th species, the willow, even though the pasuk does give a description, and it says that the willows have to be willows that grow by water, that grow near the water. Mikol Makaim Hadin Hu Dishel Baal Ksheira. Dahainu. Okay, so the din is that as long as it is from the species of the willow, it is kosher. As long as it's coming from the species of willows that usually grow by the water. Sheirahi, it's kosher. Lechatchila, it's kosher lechatchila. It's perfectly good to be used. Even if this arava didn't actually grow by the water. Okay. So for the other 3, for the hadassim and the lulav, and the hadassim and the lulav and the esrog, the specifications are it's very, very specific about what you actually use for this mitzvah. When we're talking about the aravos, it's different. We're not talking about the specific arava that you're going to use, because you could use an arava from your backyard. You could use an arava that's growing in the desert. You could use an arava that's growing on a hill. So so only by the arava, it's not talking about the arava that you're actually holding in your hand. The arava that you're holding in your hand to make the bracha doesn't have to be an arava from that grew by the water, but it has to be from the species, from the type that usually grows by the water. So here we're talking about the general type of the willows, the species itself, but we're not talking about what you actually have to use for the actual mitzvah, for the action. We have to understand, why is the willow different from the other 3 types? Sha'asiman shenitan alein bakasuvhu aklalos hamin. Now, when the Torah describes it, the Torah is describing the species as a whole. Bilvad, v'loy al ha'arava sheba mekayim mesa mitzvah b'parel. And the Torah is not speaking about the willow that you're actually using to actually get the mitzvah done. Ois beis. B'Gemara matzinu man de Amar. In the Gemara we find an opinion, shedin zeh, that this law, sharava hagdela b'midbar ay baharim kshera, the fact that we find that a willow that grows in the desert or on a hill is kosher. Yalfinan melashon hakasuv arve nachal. It is derived from the pasuk because the pasuk says arve nachal, willows that grow by the water. It's plural. Arve lashon rabim lerabais arava she'enik del benachal. So there's an opinion that says that the fact that in the Torah it says arve nachal, which is in plural tense, more than one willow, that's how you know that it could be a willow that grows anywhere, not just by the water. Okay, but the Rebbe is not going to accept it. Aval neisif al zed ha gufa derish bir. The fact that this idea itself needs further explanation. Mai taima b'shar gimel haminim. Hikpida ha'teira sheyiu asimanim mitzuyim bifrat hanokach b'payel. Why is it that for the other three types, the Torah describes the particular attributes that are necessary? Ve'ilu be'ervei nachal dai b'yesim eisem min b'chlalos. And why does the Torah suffice with saying that with regards to the aravais, that it's just giving you have much more leeway, and you have it's just describing the species and not the actual willow that you're actually using for the mitzvah. Hine einay muvan, not understood. Melashna Rambam lepirush reiv hamefarshim v'ashulchan aruch mashma. So both the Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch say she'ein tzairech beriboy miyuchad kedei l'rabais arava shegdela b'midbar beharim. It's not necessary for us to learn that arve nachal is plural to also include aravais that grow in the desert or the mountains. Ela shadavar muvan. It's understood. It's mimashmas hakasuv. Harava nikres b'Torah b'shem arve nachal me'achar shereiv min zeh gadol al nachalim. It's very simple. You can understand from the pasuk itself that the fact that it says arve nachal is that it's just telling you that since the majority of willows grow by the water, so that's why it's being called arve nachal. That's why it's being called willows that grow by the water, because the majority of them grow by the water. So it's clear that it would include any other willow that's of that type that grows in any other location. So it's understood that even the minority of willows that grow elsewhere, that grow in the desert or the mountains, that it's kosher. And the Mefarshim add, she'ein loymar sheladas Rambam makar din zeh hu me'ariboy de'arvei ki riboy zeh nitzach lo mad sheish lital beis aravais. The fact that aravais is plural in the pasuk, it's not because it's telling you, oh, there's other willows that are included, but rather to teach us that you have to take 2 aravais when you make the bracha for the mitzvah. One willow is not enough, you need 2. Therefore, it says arve nachal in plural tense. So the fact that it says arve nachal, willows that grow by the water, it's because most of the majority of willows grow by the water. Any other aravas in any other location that are similar to these are kosher. And the fact that it says in plural tense is only to teach us that you have to take 2 and not 1. V'nimtza l'shitas harambam. So it's understood that. So we find that according to the Rambam, shakavanas hakasuv b'lashon arve nachal, that what the pasuk intends by saying willows that grow by the water It's the Torah is only coming to speak about the general species. But it is not talking about the specific arava that you're going to use when you make the bracha on Sukkos. It's not understood. Minalan umay taima lachalik b'simane ha'Torah b'dalad haminim bein gimel harshenis la'arava. So we're back to the same question. Why does the Torah make a distinction between the first three of the Daled Minim, the Esrog, the Lulav, and the Andasim, and the Aravis? Why is there a distinction that for three of them, the Torah is very specific about the actual objects, the actual types that you're going to use for the bracha, versus the willow, which is open-ended, and it's just talking about the species and not talking about the specific arava that we're going to use. Gimel. Kvar nispar kama pamim. It's already explained many times. Sheyeshnam kama inyanim b'Torah. There are several ideas in the Torah. Shebedarach hapshat, v'aldarach hanigla, einam mechavrim legamrei. There are certain things in Torah that if you only learn them according to the simple explanation, according to the pshat, and according to the revealed part of Torah, you're not going to fully understand them. If you really fully want to understand it, so there's four ways of learning Torah. There's pshat, remez, drush, and said. And only if you go deeper into the medrash, into the remez, which is the hints and the said and the secrets, will you be able to fully understand these concepts. And especially if you go deep into Chassidus, only then will you understand the answer to your question. And even Rashi says, and he emphasizes that this verse is begging Darsheni, give me a midrashic interpretation for why there's a distinction between the first three types and the fourth type. The only way we'll understand why the willow is singled out and is different is if we go deeper and we learn the medrash and we learn Chassidus. Only then will we have a sufficient explanation for our question. The same applies in for our Indian, for what we're learning. Hachilo kanal ben dalad haminim muvam bepashtus lefi bir inyanam shel dalad haminim al derech hadrash. The only way we'll be able to fully understand the four kinds is if we go into the medrash and see how the medrash explains the dalad minim, the four kinds. Okay, Isa b'medrash. So now we're going to learn what the medrash says about the dalad minim, about the four kinds. Isa b'medrash, the medrash says, "Shadalid haminim miramzim ledalid hasugim shebei Yisrael." The four types hint to the four types of Jews. Esrog, sheyesh b'tam v'yesh b'reach. An esrog that has both a good taste and a good smell, who keneged elu represent those sheyesh bahem Torah v'yesh bahem ma'asim tovim, those that learn Torah and those that have good deeds. So Torah is compared to food for the soul. So something that has the quality of a good taste means, according to the medrash, that they learn Torah. And reach is a good smell. A good smell, everyone can benefit from a good smell. When a person does a good deed, it benefits others. So esrog is the yid that learns Torah, he nourishes his soul, and he also does good deeds and benefits others. Kapes tamarim, the lulav. Asher hatamar yesh b'tam v'ein b'reach, the date that grows on the palm tree has a taste, but doesn't have a smell. This represents a Jew who learns Torah but does not have good deeds. Hadas yesh bereach ve'ein b'tam. The myrtle branch has a good smell but does not have a good taste. This represents a Jew who has good deeds but doesn't learn Torah. Va'arava, and the willow, she'ein batam ve'ein bareach, that does not have neither a taste nor a good smell. He keneged b'nei adam she'ein b'hem lo Torah v'lo ma'asim tovim. This represents a Jew that doesn't have neither Torah nor ma'asim tovim. U'mitzvahs netilas daled minim, and the mitzvah to combine, to gather together these four types in Yana. What's the point? Yukshru kulam. The motivation, the intention of this mitzvah is that we should bind them all together. Kol daled hasugim sheb'Yisrael. Combine all four types of Jews together. Aguda achas, one group, to become one. V'nimtza, we find sheyesh chiluk ikri ben gimel haminim harishenim levein harava. So we find a difference between, a main difference between the first three types and the willow. Gimel haminim hasugim b'vnei Yisrael harishenim. The first three types that we take, they represent the first three types of Jews. Shavim zelazeh, and their common denominator between them. And also the way they unite with each other. All three of them have advantages or qualities that are revealed. Someone who learns Torah, you could see them learning. Someone who does a mitzvah, you see them doing a good deed. Their qualities are in a revealed state. You actually see it in actuality. Kepiskam hayadua, like the phrase that is, like the piskam that is known. Ganav eine mishe de'al lignev, ela mishe gainev. A person who knows how to pick locks, you're not going to say that he's a thief. Only someone who steals, in actuality, is considered a thief. V'lamdan eine mishe de'al lilmoid, ela mishe loimed b'payel. Also, a scholar is not someone who knows how to learn, but someone who actually learns. And how much more so, the advantage of doing good deeds, like their simple explanation. So a person who has good deeds, it's not someone that did something in the past, but rather we're talking about someone who's doing good deeds now in actuality. So basically, the first three, the Esrik, the Lulav, and the Hadassim represent Jews who their good qualities are revealed for everyone to see. They're learning Torah now. They're doing mitzvahs now. It's evident. Their qualities are evident for all to see. Mash'en kein ha'arava, which is not so by the Rava. Elum Yisrael she'ein b'hem lo Torah v'lo ma'asim tovim. We're talking about a Jew that it's not apparent. We don't see his qualities. We don't see that he learns. We don't see that he does good deeds. Harei ha'isachtos imahem hi mitzad ha'yosam mibnei Yisrael. Why would we unite with this Arava who we don't see any of their qualities? Only for one reason, because of their essence, because they are a Jew. Shehi maila pnimis va'atzmis. It's a quality that is internal. It's hidden. It's his essence. Hakayemes b'chol mishu mizer Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. Any Jew who is a descendant of Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov, what do we have in common with him? Not that we both have qualities, great qualities that are revealed, but what's in common between us and between a Jew who has revealed qualities and a Jew that's compared to Arava is that we're both the children of Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. In our essence, we are one. Gam kasher b'peil ein bahem loy terev loy ma'asim tovim. Even when the willow, the Jew is represented by a willow, doesn't have Torah and mitzvahs. V'afilu petinek shenishpa. And we're talking about a baby that was captured, that was kidnapped. Leveina akum, amongst the non-Jews. We're even talking about a Jew that doesn't even know. He doesn't even know. He has no clue that he's Jewish. Even such a Jew, we could connect with him from a level of essence. And therefore, because this is the medrash, therefore in halacha we see this playing out in halacha as well. Shasimane hatayra the gimel ha'aminim harishonim tzricham liyos begaloy b'mashem makayim b'es hamitzvah payil. For the first three types, it's imperative that it should be in a revealed way. Their quality should be in a revealed way, and we need those qualities in order to accomplish the mitzvah. In actuality, is that it's not sufficient for the esrog to be shriveled up. No, the esrog has to be beautiful. It's not sufficient for the lulav to be fanned out. No, it has to be, the leaves have to be closed, and the hadassim can't have two leaves coming out of each node. It has to have three. Those we have to see those things in a revealed way, and they're very specific. Masha'en kein ha'arava, which is not so by the willow. If we're using a willow that to fulfill the mitzvah, in actuality, that did not grow by the water. We're talking about a Jew that was taken captive. It's not his fault. He's like a baby that was taken captive. It's the fact that it comes from it. The fact that it comes from, that's a descendant of Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. The fact that it comes from the willows that grow from the water. It's from that family. Mizera Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. They come from the seed of Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. Harezu arava kshera l'kayim mitzvah. This arava is 100% kosher to fulfill the mitzvah. And when you take the other three kinds and you tie it together with the willow, nasim heim chelek min, they become the willow becomes part of them. And through this we observe the mitzvah of the 4 minim. So, water represents Torah. A willow that's growing near the water represents a willow that represents a Jew that grew up in an environment near the water. But it's kosher to use a willow that didn't grow by the water, representing a Jew that didn't grow up in a Jewish environment. He wasn't close to the water, but the fact that he's from the same family as the species, it's the same species, it's the same family as those that grow by the water. The fact that this Jew he has the same heritage, it comes to Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov. This is a perfectly good arava, because even if he didn't have a Jewish upbringing, the fact that he stems from Avram Yitzchak and Yaakov, this is perfect for us to use for the Daled Minim, and represents a Jew that we connect to on a level of essence. We're not connecting to him because of his qualities that are revealed, but we're connecting to him because we are truly, it's not about what we do, but it's about who we are. We're connecting to this Jew because our essence, we come from the same source. We're one in our essence, and that's why we unite with the Jew who is represented by a willow. Ulaha'ir. Shedavka Shma, and we have to highlight this fact that the name Arava, just its name, the name Arava, which we call it in Hebrew, Arava, hu oisios ve'arva la Hashem minchas Yuda Gaimar. Arava comes from what does it mean? It means pleasant to Hashem. The Arava who we think the Arava who we think is the least of all four, it's actually the one that's most pleasant to Hashem. Aistalid. Umizah hayra brura. And from here we have a clear lesson. L'chol l'roish yesh ladas. The first thing we have to know. Shebehechrach l'skasher u'lis'agidim kol echad miYisrael. That it is imperative for us to unite and to become one with every single Jew. Va'afilu im anashim pshutim, even with simple Jews. Ki kedei l'kayim es mitzvahs netilas daled minim. In order for us to fulfill the mitzvah of the four kinds, kol daled haminim muchrachim. All four types are necessary. And just like a person does not fulfill his obligation, just like you can't fulfill your obligation without an esrog or a lulav, hadas or a myrtle, you cannot fulfill this mitzvah without the aravis, which are represented by the anashim shutim, which are compared to the simple people. The adraba, and even more so, kevon shepshitusam shal anashim apshutim. Dafka kshura lepshitas ha'atzmos. A yid who we would consider a simple person is actually connected to atzmos, to the essence of Hashem, which is which is called pshitas ha'atzmos, the simplicity of atzmos. If we want to connect, to be connected to Atzmos, to the essence, to the simple essence of Hashem, the only way we could do that is by connecting ourselves to the innocence and to the simple Jew. Just like a baby is like so innocent and so pure. If we want to connect to the essence, which is to the essence of Hashem, which is so pure and perfect, the only way to do that is to connect to a simple Yid who has no ego and is just pure. We see the pureness. We see the pureness of what we could put simple Jew in quotes, and only through connecting to a simple Jew could we be connected to the atzmos, to the essence, to the simpleness of Hashem. And here we have an additional lesson. Sheyesh chiluk ikri ben oifen ha'eskashrus im gimel hasugim harishenim shebi Yisrael la'oifen ha'eskashrus im ish pashut. There is a difference, a main difference between how we connect to the first three types of Yidin and how we connect to a simple Yid. Those that have the potential and the ability to have qualities that are revealed, those that are able to learn, those that are able to have good deeds, those that had the Jewish upbringing, they need to actually have Torah and good deeds. It's not enough that you come from a family of Torah scholars, or that you signed up to yeshiva. It's not enough that you learned Torah a minute ago. Right at this moment, it's necessary for him to have a tam limud Torah. Right now, you have to actually be learning Torah. And the same is true as with Ma'asim Tovim. A Jew who has the ability to learn Torah and to do good deeds, he has to be learning Torah and doing good deeds right now. And we connect to him on that. We're united with him on that on that level. But when it comes to bringing a simple Jew close, we make no conditions. We don't say, oh, first you have to learn Torah. First you have to do good deeds, and then I'll unite with you. And we don't even make the condition that he has to feel Jewish. since he's a Jew from the seed of Yidden. You have to immediately become one. We have to immediately connect to him. Mitzad Avos Yisrael. We have to love our fellow Jew. Mipnei shu Yehudi. Why? Only because he's a Jew. Va'adraba. Im einay margish zeis. If the Jew doesn't feel his Jewishness, then the pity that we have for him is even greater. And the great pity will bring to a great love. When we fulfill this concept of loving another Jew just because he's a bria, only because he's a creation of Hashem, maybe this brings us to having the ability to bring them closer to Torah. So eventually we will bring him close. As habrios El HaTorah will bring him close to Torah until we will have an influence on him, an impact on him, until he will reach the level that he will learn Torah and do mitzvah. He said he will have a good taste and a good smell. I say. Here now we're coming to another. Section, another part. Up until now, we have three of the kinds on one side, the lulav, the esrog, and the hadassim on one side. They're all they represent Torah and mitzvahs that are revealed, and then we have the willow, which we don't see any of his qualities, and we unite with him. Because he's a Jew. But now we're going to divide it differently. Now we're going to have the esrog and the hadas on one side, on the good side, and the lulav and the aravos on the other side. We're dividing it a little bit differently. Why? Because there's an opinion that with regards to the lulav, even if it doesn't come from a date tree even if it doesn't come from a palm tree that gives dates, it's still kosher to be used. So now we have to redo the whole thing because of this other opinion that a lulav is kosher, even if no dates grew from that tree. So now we have to reevaluate and relook at this and define it a little bit differently. Bir ze hu aliba da deya hanalsif hey shakapis tamarim hu tnaili kuva belulav. And we said until now was according to the opinion that in order for the lulav to be kosher, it has to come from a tree that produces dates. Shalulav chayav liyos midekal shayis tamarim. Aval yesh deyos, however, there are other opinions. Shagam kapis tamarim who rak shem hamin b'chlalos, that the lulav, that the date tree is only describing the species in general, k'may arvei nachal, just like the willows. Va'af that kol she'ena eiset tamarim kosher lulav. And according to another opinion, even a palm tree that does not have dates is also kosher to take from it the lulav. V'yesh leimar bir achiluk bein simanei haTorah de'esrog v'hadas legabe hasimanim delulav harava l'deis elu. So according to these opinions, we're dividing it a little bit differently. We're having the esrog and the hadas on one side, and the arava and the lulav on the other side. Netilas dalid minim harehi min hamitzvos hamaasiyos. Okay, so up until now, the distinction, the measuring stick are the qualities revealed or hidden. Now we're taking a different measuring stick, and we're asking, and we're saying as follows: this mitzvah of taking four kinds is very unique, because netilas daled minim harehi min hamitzvos hamasiyos. This mitzvah is an action mitzvah. Uvahen gufa, and with regard and within all action mitzvahs, hinalis biyoser. This mitzvah is even greater. Ki matarasa lif'al achdus b'shleimus b'chol hasugim shebi Yisrael. Not only is this mitzvah an action mitzvah, but the point of this mitzvah is to accomplish a unity, a complete unity amongst all Jews. Just like the unity of all four letters of Hashem's name. And look at this unbelievable wonder. How can we fulfill this mitzvah? The only way we're able to fulfill this mitzvah, the Daled Minim, this action mitzvah, is by taking two types that don't have action. The lulav represents a Jew who has Torah but no action. And we need the lulav in order to do this action mitzvah, And the same is with our Rava that doesn't have Maisim Tovim. So how could it be that an action mitzvah, not just any action mitzvah, an action mitzvah that is so special that is going to accomplish a unity of all the Jewish people, in order to fulfill it properly, you need two types that don't have any action. V'loirak shenifel davar bahem achdas v'ichud v'chulu al yedei kiyum ha-mitzvah v'lashna medrash kan gufa b'nidain didan mecharpen elu al elu. And it says, why do we take all four types? Because they're mechaper one for another. They complement each other. What one is missing, the other one fills in. V'yasera mizu. And even so what? How can the lulav and the arava contribute to a mitzvah, action mitzvah, when they don't have any action? Because it says that all the dal minim, each one has to contribute something. They all are mechaper one for the other. They all help each other. What advantage? What help can the lulav and the arava? What can they bring to the table if there's no action within them for an action mitzvah that's good, that's meant to unite all the Jewish people? V'yasera mizu, and even more so, l'chayra adraba tzirufam b'yitziras mitzias hamitzvah hamaisis hayatzarach la'afriel la'akiv. Seemingly, they're just bothering. They're just a disturbance. They're not helping in any way. Al derech she'amru b'para aduma, as it says about the red cow, shenasis shaloi al yedei Aaron, that was made not through Aaron. Ki ein kategar nasa sanegar. The para aduma was burnt by Aaron's son, not by Aaron himself. Why? Because it says that a prosecutor cannot become the defense lawyer. So the para aduma is to be mechaper, is to be mechaper for the sin of the golden calf. So therefore, Aaron can't be the one to do it. So when it comes to a mitzvah, an action mitzvah that's going to unite all the Jewish people, how could you have entities that don't have any action in them? How could they contribute? How can they come and help when they're the opposite? Uvehechrach leimar. So we're forced to say sheshnehem, that both of them, lulav va'arava, hayalim, they do bring something to the table. B'mitzias ha-mitzvah al yedei ha'etzem. What are they bringing to the table? They are bringing the essence, their essence to the table. Shehei mibnei Avram chulu, that they come from the Avos. Shegadol koichay behis galusai al yedei hatziruf alakicha b'yachdim esuk v'hadasim yeser mimaisim. So what happens? The Jew that is represented by the esrog and the Jew that's represented by the hadassim, what happens? They reveal within the lulav and the arava their essence, and through that they have a benefit. So a person could think that if they go do outreach, if they go be makar of another Jew, then they're helping another Jew, but there's no benefit to them. But the truth is that when you go be makar of another Jew and you reveal the essence of another Jew, that actually helps you. It helps you, it refines you, it makes you reveal your own core, and it elevates you. As a matter of fact, the Kohen Gadol, when the Kohen Gadol would light the menorah, which represents lighting up another Jew, he would go on 3 steps, because you get an elevation by bringing out the pintla yid, by bringing out the essence of another Jew. So yes, even though this mitzvah is an action mitzvah, and you would think that all the parties have to contribute in an action level, but no. The 2 parts that do have the action, which is the hadassim and the esrog, they reveal in 2 parts that don't have any action. They reveal the essence, and then the essence that's revealed. This is what they bring to the table, and this has this brings an advantage to the esrog and to the hadassim, because they're operating on a level of a revealed quality, and by helping the lulav and the aravais, they are going deeper, and they're revealing essence. They're revealing things that are not just on the surface. There's an example, al kapanim me'ein zeh, similar to this, b'negia lelulav. With regards to the lulav, sha'af al pikein tzarach shatiya by Torah, that the lulav needs to have Torah. Truma nitenes rak lekayin, kihu mibanav shel arna kayin. Truma has to be given to the kayin, because a kayin is one of the sons of Aharon. Va'afal pikein matzinu shetzarach shatia by mailas haTorah. But still, we find that when you give truma to a kayin, the kayin has to have the advantage of Torah. V'noisin truma lekayin ama aretz ki'ilu nois nachulu. Someone who doesn't even finish the pasuk. Someone who gives truma to a kayin that's a ama aretz, it's as if he's wasting it. Vav. Al pi biur zeh, according to this explanation, nimtza inyan naisaf, we find another inyan. Sheyesh chidush gadol yoser b'tziruf halulav legabe atzir shel haraves. Until now, we think, the fact that we're allowing the willow to be combined with the other 3, that's a chidush. But the Rebbe says no. The fact that the lulav is being joined to the other 3, that's the big chiddush. Why? Because the willow, it's not his fault. He grew up without a Jewish education. So the fact that he doesn't have revealed Torah and revealed good deeds, it's not his fault. But a lulav, misha yesh by Torah, a lulav that has Torah, ve'ein by ma'asim tovim, and does not have good deeds, harei zeh, the fact that the lulav doesn't have good deeds, it's much worse. It's much worse than a simple person. Am haaretz, a simple person, it's not his fault that he doesn't know what to do. Sheyesh by Talmud, but a Talmud Chacham who does have Torah, who did learn, maybe they maisa, and despite the fact that he learned, it doesn't bring to action. Now that's a much bigger problem. He knows better. Val derech maimer Chazal, al talmidei chachamim sheshagagos nas Islam kizdainus. It says about a Talmud Chacham that his mistakes are considered to be on purpose. If he sins by mistake, it's considered that he sinned on purpose because he should have known better. He's at such a higher level. And from here we have an additional lesson. The obligation to connect with every Jew. They should all be bound as one. Not only is it important for us to join with to unite with a Jew who, spiritually speaking, we have to save his life. It's a pikuach nefesh, which refers to the Amei Aretz, to the simple Jews with Tinek Shenishba and the babies that were captured, that they didn't have a Jewish education, Levena Akum, that they were captured amongst the Goyim. So those that never tasted the taste of Judaism. Also somebody who knows. And he knows better, but he doesn't fulfill. Someone who went off the derech, someone who went to yeshiva, and then he went off the derech. Yesh lis master elav lis kasher imoy. You have to give yourself over to him and connect with him. Yukshru kulam aguda achaz, to become one with him. V'yaser al kain, and even more so, tzirufay muchrach. Connecting with him is absolutely necessary in order to fulfill this mitzvah properly. And through uniting all types of Jews together, then will be like the continuation of the medrash. Then we're all able to atone one for another. Which includes the interpretation of the word kapara, lechaper lifnei Hashem liyos nachas ruach l'kainai. And we're able to bring atonement for each other and to bring Hashem nachas. We're able to bring nachas to Hashem. Ad shadavar payal iloi gam lemaila kivyachol. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu ani mis'ala, until we're able to accomplish an elevation even by Hashem. And this will bring the geula, the true and everlasting, complete geula. The Ein Yisrael Negalin, the Yidden cannot be redeemed ad sheyiyu kulan aguda achas, until they're all united as one. Any questions?
Thank you. Excellent.
No questions. Just thank you very much. Wonderful.
Thank you. Beautiful.
So
thank you. I have a quick question. In the end of Sif Hey, could you explain? Maybe I missed this point. What are we bringing out about the lulav and about the kohen gadol about the kohen having to be a Talmid Chacham? Are we saying that you need to have the? Could you explain that again?
Okay, so I the truth is that little piece that piece was hard for me to understand. I didn't really get it. What I don't really understand that piece. If anyone has any insight and wants to try to figure out together what that would mean, I don't really know.
I thought maybe it was saying that you might think that you don't, like, you might think that it's a disadvantage to have a person who doesn't have, who has all this Torah. Obviously the fact that he's missing the mice is obviously a problem, but it seems like it's saying that you need that aspect of Torah to bring it to the mix. Like, it adds something to the mix that you were missing otherwise. Even though this is a mitzvah mices, you need to have the Torah as a foundation here. As I don't know, I'm not sure that I understood it. That's why I'm asking. But it seems like maybe that's what it's saying, bringing out from the fact that you needed to have in a kohen, he needed to be a Talmid Chacham.
Yes, the kohen definitely needed to be a Talmid Chacham. So if a person gave truma to a kohen that's not a Talmid Chacham, he still fulfilled his obligation, but it's considered like a waste, like he threw it in the garbage. So obviously, to be a Talmid Chacham is a very big is a very big is necessary. Absolutely. We need the Talmud Chacham, and it brings a lot to the table. So it's always relative. Like, what's your measuring stick in comparison to what? So obviously Torah is knowledge. Knowledge is power. Knowledge, Torah is our food. It's our nourishment. Torah is amazing. But in this case, when we're in this case, what we're saying is that the lulav, according to the first opinion, the lulav needs to come from a tree that's a date, which represents a date represents Torah, which represents Torah. But even if you have a lulav, that doesn't have a date, that the mila of Torah, is not the way that it should be. At least he's bringing the essence to the table. But obviously Torah is and that's why in the first opinion, according to the first opinion, the lulav definitely needs to come from a palm tree that has dates.
Thank you.
Okay, if I get any more information on it, I will share. I'll post.
Thank you so much. It was excellent.
Baruch Hashem.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Okay, all the best.